Hi, my name is Jonathan. This vlog is I'm basically redoing my vlog that was titled, If You're White, Give Thanks to God That You're Not Black. If you're white, give thanks to God that you were not born black. Which was censored by YouTube. YouTube moderators took it down. I'm tempted to say because YouTube moderators are racists. That's why he took it down, but most likely you misunderstood the vlog. So this vlog is basically against racism. I'm condemning racism. There's this little thing in the United States called institutional racism, structural racism, where basically all Americans, especially all white Americans, whether they like it or not, are in fact racists. It's just part of our structure. It's part of the American capitalist society that all Americans are racist. So I try to explain that in this vlog. Like all my vlogs, if you're a moderator or if you're tempted to hit on all my vlogs, report abuse or whatever, like all of my vlogs, I am an activist. I am passionate about fighting war. I'm passionate about fighting against racism. I'm passionate about fighting injustice everywhere. So, being creative is the best way to fight injustice, to fight war, to fight racism in this world. Please do not censor me, YouTube. I mean, that's why censorship is so damaging to the cause of justice, the cause of fighting war, and I get this vlog done, of fighting racism. It's because if you censor me, then if you can't fight something creatively and you're censored because of your creativity, then racism wins, okay? So, YouTube, if you're going to censor me for this vlog, racism wins. So, anyway, so I'm just going to briefly list. This is not as good as my other vlog that was censored by YouTube, because I'm reading from a piece of paper, and it's going to be really rough. Okay, because I look rough right now, too. And so it's rough. So basically I'm going to say I'm citing 15 reasons why every white person in America should be thankful to God that they were not born black. Because I'm trying to highlight structural racism in the United States. Duh. So, okay. First reason, if you're white American, why you should be thankful that you were not born black is because you are not a second-class citizen like blacks are. Because you're a full-fledged American. And in the United States, in other words, when someone pictures an American, they think of a white person. They do not think of a black person. And African Americans, blacks, are hyphenated Americans, unlike white Americans. So that's a form of injustice. That's structural racism. And that's the first one why whites should be grateful, because you're not a second-class citizen, like blacks are. Irony, okay, irony, duh. Okay, second reason is if you're white in America, you do not get to experience racism on a daily basis like blacks do in America. Blacks in America experience racism on a daily basis, and whites are not aware of that. And at the same time, whites in America think that they are appreciating that there's no more racism in America. Like civil rights era is finished, done with, we have no more racism in America. That's what whites think in America. And that's contrary to what blacks experience on a daily basis in America. So, you're white, you do not get to experience racism, be thankful to God. Okay, third reason is if you're white, like blacks in America, their genealogy was wiped out by slavery. And especially lately, white Americans are so fanatic about researching their genealogy. They can trace their genealogy hundreds of years back into Europe and all. But because of slavery, because white America enslaved African Americans for like 300 years. Blacks in America are denied the richness of having, are denied that heritage of having a rich genealogy they can trace back to Africa, where whites can trace their genealogy back to Europe. So, number 3. Number 4 is blacks in America are more likely to experience homelessness and unemployment. Structural racism. Not stereotyping. So, like if you're white in America, you can thank God and appreciate, have the blessing that your family is less likely to experience homelessness and unemployment. Blacks have, within the black consciousness, African American consciousness is this, that they're more likely to experience homelessness and unemployment. I'm rambling. I got 10 more to go, okay. Number 10, number 5, if you're white in America, you're more likely to get an entry-level job. You're guaranteed to get any entry-level job if you're white in America. Like, if you're black, well, you're much like have a harder time finding an entry-level job. Okay, this whole affirmative action thing. Well, guess what? It's mostly a theory, because if you're black, you are denied your application is just thrown out. They say you're black, you're not going to get the job. There is, even if it's a subconscious, racism against blacks. If you're white in America, you're more likely to get an entry-level job than if you're black. That's just a fact. Okay, number 6. If you're white in America, you can appreciate that when you go out in public and you enter a room out in public, no middle-aged white women are clutching their purses when you walk in a room. Because that's what happens to black people. Because white middle-aged women are subconsciously, at least, racist. They subconsciously grab their purses if they see a black person entering the room, because they're afraid they have some stereotype that the black person is going to steal the purse. Number 7. If you're white in America, you can appreciate that you can go shopping and feel comfortable shopping without clerks staring at you, thinking that you're going to steal something. Because blacks experience that a lot in America. They go shopping, and even if they're like Mr. Good Samaritan, clerks stare at them and are afraid they're going to steal something. And that's, okay, number 8. You can get a loan if you're white. If you're black, it's much harder to get a loan in America. Okay? That's a fact. If you're white, you can be grateful you can get a loan, because if you're black, you're less likely to get a loan. That's the experience. That's what African Americans experience in the United States. And number 9 is getting a taxi in a big city. If you're white, it's very easy for you to just hail down a taxi and get from A to B. But if you're black, it's much harder to hail down a taxi and get from A to B. So, if you're white, be thankful because you can get a taxi. Drive in a taxi. Okay, number 10 is if you're white, you can freely smoke weed, smoke pot, without being incarcerated, without going to jail for it. Because as blacks in America, this is a statistic I just read yesterday. So I went to a Slightly Stupid concert, which is awesome, progressive reggae, and Students for Sensible Drug Policy, whatever, was right outside. And I knew this statistic already, but only 13% of drug users in America are black, but 67% of people that are incarcerated for drug-related charges are African American. So, if you're white, you can freely smoke weed. If you're black, you do not have that freedom to smoke weed and not go to jail for it. Number 11 is if you're white, you don't have to worry about getting beat up by the cops. If you're white, police are so incredibly nice. Okay, police are nice to you. If you're black, there is a strong history of police brutality against African Americans, and like blacks get beat up by cops, and cops single out, especially black men, and they're very harsh to the African American community. So if you're white, you can appreciate that you do not get beat up by cops. And number 12 is if you're black, if you're white, you can be thankful that you're not in the welfare system. Okay, whites have a stereotype in America that blacks are stuck in the welfare system and they're lazy. I mean, most whites have that subconscious racist view of blacks. But at the same, you know what? Like, ever since Bill Clinton's administration, there have been huge cuts in welfare, and African Americans are the ones that have suffered the most from cuts in welfare. So, know if you're black, actually you're less likely to get welfare if you're black in America. Like, their welfare benefits are being cut, and so it's ironic because whites are thinking, well, you're stuck in the welfare system, well, at the same time, blacks are not getting welfare. So, another example of racism by whites in America. Number 13 is in America, if you're white, you don't have to dress or act black in order to pass. It's totally not fair because in order to pass in America, blacks have to dress or act white. But whereas whites, and it's not just a what do you call it, a look good type of thing. Well, what am I trying to say? Whites can have all kinds of tattoos and piercings and all that, and still pass and still be accepted in the public community. Whereas blacks, when they dress in the African American culture, they cannot pass in America. So, okay, and number 14 is if you're white in America, you can appreciate that you have a YouTube account because, like, blacks in America are the invisible population. Like, have you ever been in the inner city? I lived in the inner city for a week in Southside Chicago. I've been in several inner cities, and I mean, African Americans are not only in the inner city; they're all throughout, the middle class and throughout America's suburbia. But still, like, African Americans are an invisible population, and they're very in poverty, so they cannot afford a computer, and so it's a luxury to have a YouTube account, in other words. So it's so unfair because I like seeing vlogs of other people, and it's mostly whites who have YouTube. It's like, the vlogs do not show, give a good representation of America because there's very few African Americans who have YouTube accounts, which is very unfortunate. And it's the same with number 15, amusement parks and ball games. It makes me sick to my stomach when I go to an amusement park or a ball game and it's all white people. There's no color whatsoever. And it's because of the price of paying a ticket to get an amusement park or ball games. African Americans, because they're facing the brunt of structural racism and are in poverty, not because of their own choice, but because of racism by our system, they cannot afford a ball game. They cannot afford tickets. So there's no color when you go to an amusement park. So the vlog that was taken down, I prayed to Jesus and thank God that I was born white. I like offending people, but I don't feel like doing that right now. So, structural racism is real, and if you're a white American, whether you like it or not, you are a racist. And I didn't present my cause very good, because I'm just pissed at YouTube. So, and you just have to deal with the fact that if you're white in America, you are a racist. You have no idea what the racism African Americans experience on a daily basis. So I will stop now. That's all. Thank you.